Hi, my name's Becky. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me here today. I am so excited to be back at a real event. It's been a while. So today, I'm going to talk you through a little bit how LinkedIn adjusted in 2020, and then how we're going on into 2022 with our planning. I suspect it'll be quite a familiar story for what a lot of you have gone through as well. So, at the start of 2022, we had a full event calendar of big, fat, physical events. I had venues booked and travel planned and speakers engaged, and I was really excited. And then, boom, lockdown hits, or COVID hits. But you know what, it was fine, because I was going to work from home for 2 weeks, and then get back in the office, and it was going to be like nothing had ever happened. We all know that didn't happen. But you know what? I quite naively thought we could take all that physical activity and just put it in a virtual format and not change a thing. Spoiler alert, that didn't work. So we worked from home. And we did those big events in a virtual format. It turns out nobody wants to come to a 6-hour Zoom call. Lesson number one. And then on top of that, our sales team could no longer go out and meet their customers. No more coffees, no more drinks, no more lunches. So they came to us and they said, we want an event. And the marketing team wanted an event. And the business wanted an event. Everybody wanted an event. And I said yes to everything. That went wrong as well. So we very quickly became overwhelmed. The market became saturated with events. And we had no idea what we were doing. It was a disaster. So we stopped. And we stopped all our events. And we spoke to our colleagues and our customers and our clients, experts in the industry, people around the world, and we said, what's working? What's not working? And what can we do better? And we did some research. And we made a whole formula. And I'm going to talk you through it. So this is our 5-step formula. So first up, should it be an event? Now, I hate saying this because I love events. But actually, isn't an event always the right format? Could it be an email, or a phone call, or a case study, or some research, or a blog? Is an event the right question? Again, I hate saying it, but we do have to question it. So when we actually asked that question, we realized we were able to cut out a lot of those smaller activities that we didn't actually need to do. That reduced our workload so we could focus on the good stuff, the more important stuff. Next, we adapted. So anyone who works in events is naturally quite good at planning for change. It's kind of a core skill. That's great, we always have plan B, but actually in this case, we were in lockdown and we were told it was going to end next month. So we planned, we started booking venues, and then lockdown went on, and on, and on. 18 months pretty much. So actually we had to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z, all the plans, just in case. And then we had to look at our content. Like I said, no one wants to come to a 6-hour Zoom call. So what we actually did is we asked the audience, what do you want to hear about? We gave them 5 topics, pick your top 3, and we'll adjust our content for that. We then realized that 25 minutes was the golden window for engagement virtually. So we had all our speakers do our content within that time. And if we had multiple talks, we made sure we had a break after 45 minutes. That was the kind of golden time while people would stay engaged before they took the dog out or put the coffee on. And then we tried to make it interactive. So it's really boring watching a talk at home, if I'm honest. So how do you make it interactive? Like I said, we asked the audience in advance. We had live Q&A. We had a moderated chat with an expert sitting on the chat whilst talks happen, able to give informative responses on the comments. We had polls and voting. And then, my favorite bit, we brought in the fun. Because, like I said, virtual events can be quite boring. So any opportunity to make it a bit more engaging, we tried to do that. I'm actually going to talk you through a couple of examples where we applied the formula. And you can see how it worked. So the first one, Halloween. Now, I'm not biased, but this is my favorite event of the year. Every year, we run a 1,000-people party. It's for our agency junior to mid-level practitioner level customers. So it's very much our way of giving back, saying thank you, and helping the sales team to re-engage with their clients. And it's just a massive piss-up. So last year, we asked the question, should we have an event? The sales team and the customer said, yes! And I thought, Yes, great. How will we do this virtually? So we built this website. We made it as fun as possible. We put loads of Easter eggs in there, so you could click around and play on the site. And then we planned a lot of virtual mini events, which would all be hosted in one day. So we had 12 events in 12 hours. They ranged from candle making, to escape rooms, to yoga classes, to cocktail making. The event sold out within 2 days, and on the actual day of the event, we had about 700 people attend. So we were delighted. Yay, lockdown. Now, that's great for Halloween when it's a party, but how would you do this in a more corporate setting? So this year, we decided to run our first ever Financial Services Summit. This is in June, so actually we're out of lockdown now, but we're not quite ready for the big physical world again. It's a little bit scary. Now, no offense to any financial marketers in the room, but financial marketing isn't the sexiest of topics. Sorry. So, what we did, we made another website. And this time, we had a Pac-Man game on the site. So you could go on the site, and you could try and get to the top of that leaderboard and beat someone from HSBC. Then you could go and look at our speaker information area. You could find out the Spotify songs they're listening to, or the podcast, or what books that you might want to download that they're engaged with. We tried to make it as interesting as possible. We had loads of content on the site. You could download case studies, research. And again, at the point of registration, we said, these are the topics we've got here. Which ones do you want to hear about? And we tailored it. We also invested in speaker training. Now, we're so lucky. We have fantastic speakers internally and externally at LinkedIn. But they didn't necessarily know how to present virtually. Training was key. It was a game changer for us. So on the day of the event, we had a live band open the session. We had that 25-minute window and 45-minute breaks. And during the breaks, we had meditation, desk stretching, breathing exercises. We had a Z-list celebrity cameos. Anything to make it a little bit different and stand out, because like I said, it was quite a heavy, detailed information session. Okay, so that's fine. That's kind of our virtual world, but now we're coming out of that. We're trying to get into a more hybrid type situation. That's the buzzword. Everybody is saying, let's do hybrid. The business is saying hybrid, but the business don't necessarily know what hybrid means, and it's not the fix-all. So what do we mean when we say hybrid? I put up a list of here what hybrid is not, and I'm sure you're probably all familiar with that. But the great thing is we've got 3 formats. We've got our virtual events, our physical events, and hybrid. They are separate types of events. Hybrid events are not the evolution of virtual, and they're not the replacement for physical. They're their own unique setting. Now, we've done a lot of hybrid events so far. Some have been great, and some not so much. And I'm going to tell you one that didn't quite work out. Yay, Halloween again! It's been another year. So I made the first mistake here. We're out of lockdown, and I said to the business, the sales team, and the customers, do you want to have Halloween? Yes, we do. Great. Should we do it virtual? Yeah, OK. But do you want it physical? Yes. OK, but I would have loved to do a big, fat, 1,000-people party. Safety first, so no. But we could do a party for 100 VIPs. So you want a VIP party, physical? Yep. You want a virtual party? Yep. OK, we can do it all. Double my workload. So the physical event, 100 people. I thought there'd be a massive take-up. And actually, it took us about 3 iterations to get the sign-ups. They came, they loved it, but it was hard work getting them in the room to begin with, because people were still quite cautious, rightly so. So the physical element was one thing. The virtual, again, we made a website. This time we were going big. We did 17 events in 9 hours. We sold out in 2 days. Everything was going to plan. But on the actual day of the event, 5 people turned up for neon sign making. 3 came to graffiti, and 7 came to tie-dye class. Everyone came to the cocktail class. Funny that. Now, I can understand it. Everyone had signed up for this event, but no one actually came. There are many reasons for this, of course. Partly, probably the biggest one, that it was a Friday, we're not in lockdown, and why come and hang out on Zoom with me when you can go to the pub? We stopped again, and we thought, hang on, we've done a few hybrid events now. We're getting an idea of when it's working and when it's not working. So as I start to do this planning for next year, we're getting a lot of pressure from the business. They're saying, let's do hybrid. And I'm going, no, because actually, it's not always a solution. It's a great solution when it works, but it's not always the best solution. Now, no matter how senior you are not always in the room where the decisions are made. You don't always get a seat at the table. This is a challenge. It's a lot easier to advise the correct event format than it is to be told to deliver it in that way. How do we make it clear when you're not in the room what format is right for your event? I've simplified it, and I've become a bit of a parrot. In every meeting, I keep saying this. I've made it really simple. We've understood that hybrid events work really well for education and thought leadership. But for networking and experiences, they are not a replacement, and it isn't working for us. I don't know if you've had more success. Well done if you have. Please tell me how. But for us, it's not working. So now I keep saying this one line. I'm saying in every meeting, I'm making it into my manager's head and to their manager, so they go in and they know this is when we should do it and this is when we shouldn't do it. Now, as we come into planning for 2022, hopefully we're over the worst of COVID. Don't want to say that too soon. Let's just hope. So I've now got all these new skills. My team have got new skills. Our speakers have got new skills. We've learned how to manage virtual, which is great. We've learned that we can have a wider reach. We can have global presence. We've got all that core stuff now. And we've got all these formats of events and when we can do it. And we've got new technology. The challenge is, which one do I use when and where? So we're being really cautious here. We're trying to plan. We're using that 5-step strategy again. We're adapting for all the change. Now, I didn't feel that I could talk about planning for the future without actually talking about the future. During COVID-19, events, in my opinion, has been the most hit. Sorry, the arts. But we have. It's been really hit. But we are at such an exciting time in history because we're at the cusp of it. In a couple of years' time, we're going to have VR, AI, the metaverse. All this new stuff is coming in. And I don't know what events is going to look like in a few years' time, but I'm really excited to see how we can make it develop. We've got these new formats, we've got new skills, and we've got new technology coming in. So we're like the leaders in this. It's such a good time to be in this industry. And I didn't feel I could talk about the future without mentioning sustainability. Now, I know you probably had a lot of talks today and tomorrow about sustainability, and you don't need to hear about how I'm thinking about it. But it is important to mention, because actually, when we look at planning for the future, we are trying to take a sustainability mindset and be more accountable. I mean, LinkedIn has huge servers using a lot of electricity. I can't fix that. But what I can do is adapt our event strategy to be more sustainable, use local suppliers, bring in all the elements that we can control. So a kind of bottom-up mindset for the time being, until we get there. So I'm going to just come back to that 5-step strategy because it's made all the difference for us. It made the difference during lockdown. It's making a difference as we plan for the future. So question an event, still hate saying it, but question it. Adapt for change, refine that content, really lock it down. Short form storytelling is key here. Get the audience part of the conversation and make it fun. And I just wanted to finish off on one point. When it comes to hybrid activity, events in general, planning for the future and sustainability, we are all going to the same point, but we're at different points of that journey, and that's completely fine. So wherever you are falling right now, we're all going to get there, and I think it's going to be really exciting. And I think we have time for some questions. Any questions? Well, this is very easy. Hi. I think a microphone is just coming to you.
Hi, I'm Matt from Paris. You said for your digital event that it was not necessarily the best place for networking.
Yeah.
Though networking, when you are LinkedIn, I mean, it's a bit weird, isn't it? And my other question would be, I do participate into event and I produce event for reason one, networking. So what do I tell my client if now in digital it's a bit difficult to do networking?
Yeah. Good question. And probably, sorry, I should have probably been clearer. Networking can work, of course. What I don't think does work virtually is that experience. You can't touch, hold, hear, listen. All your five senses are not engaged on a virtual platform. But you can, of course, still network. And in some formats, it works really well. Small round tables work fantastic on a Zoom link virtually. It's that big engagement when you come to a conference like this and you bump into Bob at the check-in desk. You can't recreate that right now. But you can absolutely do networking on LinkedIn. You just have to, sorry, in virtual events and LinkedIn. You just have to plan for it. The challenge comes when people add it on as a bolt-on afterwards. We're just going to zoom in our speaker and it'll be fine. If you plan for the networking, you have breakout rooms, you assign chats, it can absolutely work. So you're completely right.
Hi there. Thanks, Becky. I was going to ask, on the surveys that we've been seeing around what corporate event organisers think, measurement comes up as one of the key priorities of everything. Has this experience sharpened your eye on how to measure things on the ROI out of digital formats, live formats, and things like that? Have you got any thoughts on that where you're going in 22 when you're evaluating?
I probably shouldn't say this, but at the start of lockdown, our CMO asked the business how many events are we going to have to cancel? And nobody had the answer because we're such a regional company. Every office had different activities. So many different teams, sales teams were running their own events. We had no idea how many events were actually being held on the ground. And then by cancelling them, what that meant. Suddenly, everyone had a little bit of a freak out and really had to go, we need to get better at not only working out what we're doing, but how we track the success of that. And it's actually one of our key pillars going into next year on how we look at measurement. And we realize it's not a matter of just talking about how many bums on seats. It's much bigger than that. We have a whole list now of things that we're tracking, whether it's time on the site, what goes into the funnel afterwards, engagement from the sales team, follow-up emails, comments on the chat. We've got I think 50 different levels of metrics that we're trying to follow. Some are more important than others, depending on the event, but we've realized actually tracking the success of the event, and it's not just the NPS, it's actually that overall picture where it kind of fits into the business need. It's so important, and we're doing so much work now trying to measure the impact, which is very hard with GDPR, might I add, but we're trying. Yeah, it's a great question. It's something I think everyone needs to get better at. And if anyone's got any solutions, please let me know. I think we're good. Any more? Nope. Okay. Oh, wait.
So you said you build a platform like your own website.
Mm-hmm.
Did you decide on purpose not to use any of the existing software that was available?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, we do have a few products called LinkedIn Events and LinkedIn Live, and you can absolutely build your own event on the platform and host it. The reason we chose not to do that for some of these bigger events is because we had quite large objectives that we needed to be really interactive, so we didn't do it for those cases, but we have done it for a lot of the other events. So depending on the type of event and the objective we're trying to meet, we've used our own products, and we've used external products as well. We've tried to find what works best for all the things we need. Yeah.
Sorry, I have another question now. Are you actually experimenting on some websites or new things, new technologies, and how do you implement those innovative experiments?
Yep, we absolutely are. One of our teams in America actually did an event recently with VR. So luckily they had the budget to do so, but they sent, I think, 20 customers a VR headset, and they built a virtual conference, and customers could walk up to somebody else with their VR headset and interrupt the conversation and join it. They had fantastic feedback, and I was really excited to see this. I haven't used it myself, but I love that this could potentially be an option and actually might work for the networking piece in the future. The reason I'm not using it yet because I can't afford to send VR headsets to every customer for every event, but it's really encouraging to see where things might go in the future.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Cool. Well, thank you for having me.